Hey friends, just doing a little update. It is December 28th, 2024, and a little update on me and my cancer journey. I'm doing great. So my Signatera test from previous videos I told you was 0, so I'm going to assume it's still 0. And I had a Herceptin and Perjeta treatment on December 17th, and I got to see my oncologist as well. And so she and I were talking, and I said, if I'm at 0 with cancer cells floating around my body, maybe we could push the Herceptin and Perjeta out to 6 weeks. Since we had kind of done that already over the holidays, and because of the surgery, things got spaced out. And she seemed cool with it. So we're going to give that a shot, and we'll just keep testing the Signatera when we can. And just if those numbers start going up, then we can, change course from there. But I did go ahead and still do the Herceptin and Perjeta just to keep something on the books, and essentially just in case there are some that are popping up, because it's still a month after the previous test. I did it, but I don't want to be on these drugs just to be on these drugs, because they're very toxic for your heart, and really anything that has a H2 or HER2 receptor, which is in your pancreas, your heart, your GI, bunch of tissue has that. So I want to be a little careful with doing those heavy duty drugs. Plus I'm still doing Perjeta and this stuff IV bag wise, which means I have to put on, my cold cryotherapy gloves and my cold sock kind of things, the recirculating water to chill my extremities to prevent neuropathy, which, you would think I should be done with by now because I'm off chemo, but immunotherapy drugs like Perjeta can still cause neuropathy, so I am not taking a risk, because I have heard from too many other patients in the field that, they think it was the Perjeta, they let their guard down, and now they have neuropathy. And I really don't want neuropathy. I've had a lot of nerve stuff in my life, and I know it's not fun, and I treat it in my office, so I am not trying to get that. So I will sit there. Sometimes they do it for a 30-minute infusion. Other times they do it for an hour. I try to get them to do the lesser amount of time, but it depends on, the nurse at the day that feels comfortable doing the treatments. And, the further spaced out I get, the more it seems to change in Messino a little bit. So, you never know who you're going to get. But luckily, they have been pretty open. They've seen I've been there a while now, about a year, so they are open to doing what feels right for me, which I really do appreciate. So more often than not, they can shorten it up, even to a 45-minute infusion, so I'm not sitting there for an hour freezing my hands and feet off, which is really appreciated. They're still doing the Benadryl pre-med. I don't have to do steroids, thank goodness, but they're doing the Benadryl, and they have to push it into me, into the little port I have, because the IV places still were also damaged in Hurricane Helene. So I'm really fine with that, but it's just a big rush all at once. So it's kind of a weird little feeling. And, when my friend Alyssa often takes me, she's sitting there and I'm like, it's happening. And then I'm like, I'm just kind of immediately toasted. But it's wearing off a lot faster now. I think my tolerance has gone up for Benadryl, which probably isn't a great thing, but it's only now, it'll only be once every 6 weeks. So I'm trying to space this stuff out so we can start not having this stuff in my regular routine, and, maybe get back to life a little bit. I am also still doing mistletoe therapy in Atlanta, and I'm doing that about once a month, sometimes 6 weeks, depending on holidays and such. So I'm still doing an IV for that. Luckily, no injections, since I don't have the breast tissue anymore, so that's awesome. It's a little cheaper and it's a lot more pleasant, so I feel great on that. I will probably be doing that the first week I get back to town, so I'll be going back down to Atlanta again. Currently we're visiting Sarah's folks in Georgia right now, and we've been getting a ton of disc golf in because, it's like beautiful weather down here. So we're so fortunate to be in an area that you can disc golf in the middle or the end of December. It's just crazy, so I feel really, really happy about that. But there's going to be a pretty bad storm. I think it's already happening yesterday, today, and tomorrow in Asheville and the surrounding area. So, if you keep an eye out on those local businesses and just check in to see who's hurting and who isn't, my old office just seems to keep flooding. Every time we drive by it, there's some issue with the drains, and they're not, the water's pooling up in the front parking lot, and the curb is only so deep, so it just keeps kind of going back in or coming up from the floor. I don't know. There's always humidity in the glass, so that's not a good sign. I highly doubt I will be moving back in there, mostly because I did see a sign for a jiu-jitsu studio that's going to be taking over. So, I don't think that was super cool to give up my space without talking to me, but technically the lease was broken, so it's all fair in business. And it's probably better I seek out other options, because I just ethically and morally wouldn't want to bring patients into a space that has a mold issue. It is a real problem, especially in climates like Asheville. So, maybe keep an eye on some of those businesses, because all of the drains and the rivers and the areas that they've tried to clear are vulnerable right now. So this extra bit of water is really going to test some of the area, and there's going to be a lot of accumulation further downstream. So, just if you're looking to help people out, try to keep an eye on beloved Asheville or Gravello or some of the towns around. There's a lot of places that you can donate. Try to look for a specific business if you can. So I'm feeling really good about my treatment plan right now. I was scheduled to go to see Dr. T, one of my favorite docs. I was supposed to go see her the week before coming down here, and she called me, so we were chit-chatting, and she asked about the Signatera test. I told her it was 0 in November, so she suggested not coming, which, you don't get from many doctors, because most people are more focused on the monetary. But for her reasoning is, why do high-dose vitamin C right now? We're talking like 65 grams of IV vitamin C, which is really high and super oxidative, so it's very damaging to the body. Specifically, it's supposed to be damaging to cancer cells, but if you don't have cancer cells around, it's a strain on the body to have to clear that oxidative stress. So she suggested not doing it. I could have pushed and asked for a 15-gram IV bag just to help. The 15 gram would be much lower than the 60, or anything over 50, or anything over 25 grams is considered not oxidative. It would be antioxidant. So when you're in those lower levels of IV vitamin C, you can get away with doing those more often, and they're really beneficial for putting down collagen. So I'm still in that healing phase. It's going to be the remodeling phase for a long time. So getting that good collagen absorption, and the vitamin C, of course, helps with that, would be really beneficial. So I could have pushed and done that, but I also didn't really want to drive an hour down to Pisgah Forest to get treatment and spend all day down there as well. So, when she offered I didn't have to come, and maybe I could aim for somewhere in January, and then, we're working out a plan that makes more sense so that I can still return to a normal life, or some sort of normal life. So her plan is, when we choose to do high-dose vitamin C, which she was thinking monthly, we'll probably aim for 6 or 8 weeks even, if we're going to do high dose, unless those numbers start going up. If my numbers start going up on a Signatera test, I'm going to jump back on all these alternative therapies pretty hard, because I don't want to go back on chemo. And of course, Herceptin and Perjeta, you would imagine, would be doing a lot to keep those numbers down, but cancer can morph. So there's still a possibility it'll morph into an ER or PR positive type cancer, or worse, triple negative, which it does happen. And so you just want to make sure you keep those big guns for when you really need them. So I'm trying to space that stuff out and use some of these smaller guns to make sure that I'm just supporting my body's immune system, the ability for me to recover from all of the therapies I've been going through in the last year, which are super toxic. So I feel like I'm actually in the healing phase now. Like, I really feel like I can get back to some sort of normalcy. I feel able. I will say I definitely am more tired in the afternoons than I've ever been, but I think that comes with the territory. And I think compared to most people, I still have more energy. So can't complain. I feel overall super optimistic about how this past year has gone, and how this cancer journey has been, how it's been going. I feel empowered. So it's good. I feel really good. When Dr. T mentioned when we do the high-dose vitamin C, she recommended I spend at least 5 days where I'm not being overly stimulated, and this is probably something we all need to try to put into our month. Her suggestion is avoid TV and phones, and I mean, obviously a little here and there is fine, but not have that stuff kind of blasting. Maybe not spend the evening watching a movie. Try to read, which I love reading anyway. That's no problem for us to fit into our lifestyle. It's just more of timing, and and she doesn't want me to work around those days, so I've got to factor the weekend, and I just got to start looking and scheduling my next few months out so that I actually stay true and honest to what our plan was, because otherwise I'll just fill it with stuff to do, and I like to be stimulated, so I'll probably, overdo it. And it's really important right now, especially thinking about this new year and coming into 2025, that I'm really focusing on what kind of life do I want to shape? What does my day, my week, my month, my year look like? And I encourage all of you to do it too. It doesn't take cancer, to maybe make some life changes. Unfortunately, we don't tend to make a lot of changes in our life until we have something really dramatic hit us. But, I hope you don't need a crisis to do what's right for your body, So I hope you all also try to do this 5-day, stay away from overly stimulating things, get more Epsom salt soaks in, put some good magnesium salts in there and mix them up. I mean, you want to get some good diversity and get as much magnesium absorbed. I mean, soak your feet, go for walks, disc golf, all the right things. So yeah, I'm gonna try to work that one in. I have been doing my Aqua Cure, my little hydrogen. It's more than a hydrogen machine. The Aqua Cure is so much cooler, but my electrically expanded water treatment, which sounds really weird, but when you're into science, it is as nerdy as it sounds, and it is super cool, and it's easy to do. I just get to lay there and breathe. Or I could do, of course, I could use the little spot thing on my scars and stuff to help heal those areas faster, but I mostly just breathe it in, and then I drink the water. It's distilled water, which Sarah finally fixed my distiller, because now we have power, so she actually had a chance to work on it. And she was able to fix it, which is so cool. I used it one time, and it basically stopped working, which is common with these things because they have a ton of sensors in them. And I did talk to the guy I bought it from, and he was super great, and he was able to put it. It's George Wiseman, the guy who actually created Aqua Cure. I bought my machine specifically through him, and I'm talking about the distiller right now. So the distiller, the Aqua Cure is bomb-proof. This thing is killer, but the distiller is from it's from Australia. It's Water Lovers. It's a great distiller. It's a very good investment. Just using that, you pay it off. If you buy distilled water, you pay it off like first year at least, if not sooner. So it's really cool. So we literally distilled all of the water I brought on this trip. So we got like this little 3-gallon thing and slowly filled it as we distilled it out. And so it's cool. It feels really special that we're making our own now. And I don't have to buy the distilled water in those plastic containers, which, they have residue that leaks off, or they have oils that are on the plastics. And unfortunately, everything seems to be contaminated these days. So if you have a chance to do it yourself, it's always better. So I'm feeling really empowered with that. I've made great headway on my project in the basement to try to see if I can professionally see people in my basement, if it's going to be something I can maybe make work. I'm also really optimistic about that. It's really shaping up and it's looking nice. My biggest concern right now is finding my table, a hydraulic table, and deciding what I want, because my beautiful Lloyd table that I loved, it doesn't have any life in it. We went to the storage unit, plugged a bunch of stuff in, which my little fridge, which was totally submerged, did survive. I plugged that in and it turned right on. So it did fully dry, which is great. My desk, my uplift desk that I work on that has hydraulics in it, did not survive. The desk portion did. That company is really great. They're going to hook me up with a discount on the frame. So I'm going to just replace the frame, which saves me a good amount of money. And then I'll get to use that in the house, setting up a little desk area. And as far as my chiropractic table, it's just so much work to think about. It's just so overwhelming. We would have to take it all apart because it doesn't lift up. So the cage of the table sits down, and we'd have to take all these pieces apart to actually get to the hydraulic system and the motor and all of that. And it would be a piece by piece investigation, which I think Sarah still wants to approach because she's that kind of person, which is awesome. And I would love that, but I'm not gonna put my eggs in that basket, basically. I have one portable table that's very narrow. It's a lightweight one that did survive the storm because it was at my house. So I have something I can work on. It's not ideal for most people, but it does get the job done. And so hopefully we can order something and get something in fairly quick. I don't think it'll be a Lloyd because they're around 3 to 4 months out. And if I start working again, you know, when you've worked on a hydraulic table, you've been fairly spoiled. So I don't want to go back to just a portable table for too long because it's my body and my back just loves to give out if I push it too much on those low portable tables, even if I raise it all the way up. It's just I'm bent over. I do a lot of manual stuff I'm just always kind of hinged over, and even with good posture, I promise I try, but you know, I just think it's a better investment. So I'm going to look at that, and hopefully we can get something going in the basement. I feel like I'm on a bit of a timeline as far as getting back into the office. I've had quite a lot of patients reaching out, which obviously warms my heart, and I want to see. It's just hard to know what's right. You know, I checked out an office in Weaverville. It would be with a personal trainer, and the PTs actually that used to be next to my old office, Dr. Phil Rolf, and they're really cool people. So, I mean, it could be a great space. The space won't be finished until February, which is good. I also feel like that's, you know, only a month away now, so I have a lot of decisions to make. So, you know, I need to decide if it's worth going into an office and paying for rent, or if I'm going to seriously consider building something at some point on my yard. We have a great portion in the orchard side that could be quite buildable. I've been doing a lot of research on, I did a lot of research on yurts at first and, you know, temporary kind of structures, but I'm just one of those people, I just think do it once and do it right. So I'm more leaning toward a roundhouse. I don't want a typical shaped building. I just don't want a typical build. If I'm going to create something and I'm going to spend money on it, you know, I'm probably gonna have to work out some kind of a loan. I've got to think about all these things and talk to some people that know a lot more about this. But if it does become possible, I would love to do, you know, a space somewhere off on the side of my yard that's still very private, easy to get to, that could be really versatile and also improve the value of our property. So it just makes more sense to me to keep money in-house than to dish it out to other people, because it just doesn't go very far when you really think about it. But we'll see. I don't know. There's also, of course, a peace of mind of not working in your house, you know, going to an office and keeping that, you know, separate. So I do understand that too. My parents always had a business in the house, and it's hard when you can't get away from it. So I don't know. I've got to figure some stuff out this month. January is going to be a little bit of an experimental month for me. I'm not going back to work full time quite yet, but I think I will start working on getting some people in that need to get in, who have been waiting very patiently to get back on my table, and just, you know, fill a couple days and see how I feel, and then go from there. So there's a lot of unknowns still on the table, but I feel like I'm in a really great place to, you know, explore all these options. So anywho, I hope you guys all had a wonderful holiday, and trying to think if there's anything else I've added into my routine. I have started back on IP6 and inositol to boost my natural killer cells. Still doing protein when I can, as much as I can. I just don't think I get enough of it, but I am trying my best. And otherwise I'm doing still a lot of supplements, but, you know, sticking with enzymes, systemic enzymes for inflammation, and anything like B vitamins, the basics really, Bs and Ds. I'm still doing injections, B12, an injection, you know, 100,000 IUs of vitamin D, and I'm still doing mistletoe sub-Q injections. So I've got a lot of bases covered right now, and yeah, I'm sort of slowed down a little bit on some things, and I'm trying to just get back into a rhythm of life. So yeah, I hope you guys all look at your 2025 and you sit down and you really make a good game plan of how you want to structure your day and your week and your month, because if you don't do it for you, no one else is going to do it. So yeah, I hope you guys get inspired by that and maybe make a plan. I'm going to sit down and make a plan. So I'm excited to I'm excited for January. I'm excited to get out of 2024. This has been a rough year, man. I'm sure it has been a rough year for a lot of people. But man, so harsh, 2024. So hoping 2025 brings some positive things, just really optimistic. New year, new opportunities. So I hope you all feel the same, and I hope you all have a wonderful holiday if it's a holiday you guys all celebrate. And yeah, I will see you all in the new year. Take care.